Hello, Hasselblad cameras. This is a 501C. Fantastic, mechanical, incredibly reliable cameras, but occasionally they do jam. My name is Jonathan Harris from Worldwide Camera Exchange. I'm going to just spend a few minutes explaining how they jam and if you follow the right procedure, how you should subsequently unjam them. Now, first of all, it's important to say what I'm talking about here are the mechanical cameras with the leaf shutters, the shutters built in the lens. I'm not talking about the 2000 or the 200 series cameras or the later electronic and digital cameras. The procedures I'm going to go through here only work with the mechanical leaf shuttered lenses and cameras. So, you're taking pictures, happily firing away. Everything's working fine, and suddenly the camera jams. What you'll hear is a funny little click, and then the camera won't wind on and the lens won't come off, and you'll panic. But don't, because hopefully there's a good way to solve the problem. First of all, just let me explain how the mechanism works, how the lens and the camera actually work together and couple. If you have a look on the lens, you'll see this little device here, a little sort of screw head. It's that couples with the camera. You'll see a sort of screw, a male type screw coupling there. It's those two couplings that work together to actually to wind the mechanism in the lens on to actually cock the shutter. So when you fire and wind on the camera, you'll see that little silver mechanism there turning. It's that couples with the lens to actually cock the lens. Now, if the camera or the lens jam, or if the lens won't go on the camera when you change the lens, the most likely explanation is that the mechanisms have come out of alignment, and basically what that means is that the lens isn't cocked. So you can see here that the little slot is actually aligned with the orange dot. That shows that the lens is cocked, so ready to go on the camera. If I fire the shutter, you can actually do it just by pulling that little lever just to the left. If you actually if you manually fire the shutter, what you will do is see, you heard it click. You'll see that slot is no longer aligned with the orange dot. So that shows me that the lens is fired. And if I take the lens cap off, you'll see there's no light coming through. The shutter's closed, the lens isn't cocked. So if you now try to put that on the camera, it won't go on. To cock the shutter, you just need to put a screwdriver in that little slot and just turn it through pretty much 360 degrees. I'm going to do this just on the desk off camera because it's a little bit awkward. And if you slip with the screwdriver, obviously you can damage the rear elements of the lens or scratch the rear of the lens, which is not desirable at all. But you can see now I've turned that. The slot is aligned with the orange dot, and you can now see through the lens. The lens is cocked and ready to go on the camera. I'm just using an ordinary screwdriver. You can get a special tool which couples with that mechanism, which is actually it's a very useful tool because it makes it much more difficult to slip. So if you're nervous about using a screwdriver, have a look on eBay and you'll find a special tool to actually do that. But once it's cocked, check the camera's cocked. So just make sure the camera's wound on, and then the lens will go onto the camera without an issue, and it'll then quite happily fire away. But what do you do if this suddenly jams? Well, if you suddenly find, as I said, that the camera won't wind on, the lens won't come off, for one reason or another, the two items, the lens and the camera have come out of sync. Put the dark side into the camera. You just take the back off. Now you've got two blinds here. Gently push the bottom one down, and if you look into the camera, you'll see a silver screw, a little silver screw at the front in the middle. It's that silver screw that couples with the coupling mechanism on the camera and then runs through to couple with the cocking mechanism on the lens. What you need to do very carefully, now I would only recommend doing this if you're confident. If this worries you, just don't do it. Get a repairer to have a look at it. If you do slip, then you can scratch the inside of the camera, or you could even damage the rear elements of the lens. So you really need to be careful. But put a screwdriver in that slot and just very gently turn the mechanism clockwise. If it doesn't move, go no further. And the camera's well and truly jammed. But 99 times out of 100, you'll find that when you turn that screw, you'll feel some pressure as you're turning a spring. You'll turn it around 360 degrees, quite a long way, and eventually there'll be a little click. And once you've wound the mechanism on, it's clicked. What you've actually done is to recock the mechanism in the lens. At that point, all being well, you should then be able to take the lens off. So just to recap, screwdriver into the back very gently, turn that silver screw around 360 degrees. You'll feel spring pressure, you'll hear a click, and at that point, off comes the lens. Absolutely fantastic. You may then need to recock here and just make sure this is fully cocked here. You'll need to make sure that the camera is fully wound on and fully cocked, and just fire it a few times just to make sure it is okay. And then, all being well, you should be able to put it back on the camera, and away you go. It isn't a foolproof method. I've been dealing with Hasselblad for decades, and I can say that 99 times out of 100, if you have that issue with the lens and camera and it jams, you can fix it with that method. But it isn't foolproof. So if anything there doesn't work, then do take it to repair, let them have a look at it. And most importantly, don't force anything, particularly when you're putting that screw in and you're turning the screwdriver in and you're turning that screw in the back. You'll feel some pressure with the spring, but never force anything. I hope that's been useful. If you have any comments, please stick them in the box below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.